it goes from like this use to over here to the drug foods, the ultra processed foods, the sugar, and stuffing those emotions. I do believe that sugar is a drug. I think there's enough evidence out there of that it is.
Implementing it gradually and really getting into a ketogenic way of eating can help you heal enough so that you have a better chance to actually handle your mental health issues, of which addiction certainly is one. Hi, and welcome to the 12-Step Keto podcast, where we talk about recovery from addiction and the ketogenic nutrition. Hi, Sly.
Hi, how are you?
Great. Looking forward to starting this with you.
Absolutely. This has been an adventure all on its own.
A long journey. And here we are, our first recording. So very excited. Why don't we introduce ourselves quickly and, explain to the people that are listening who we are, where we are, and what this is all about.
Okay, my name is Sly. I am an addict. I'm here in Fargo, North Dakota. I have 9 years of recovery in the addiction parts that you can go to jail for and have to go to, treatment and stuff for. I have also have some food addiction issues um, uh, with the drug foods that we have here. And about 4 years ago, or about 5 years ago, I decided to do something about it when I had a very scary moment. And over the years, I've educated myself, and today I help others as a coach that also have food addiction issues and mental health issues, and may have other physical ailments that they have, but they need to quit the drug foods. So that's where I come in with that, and it usually helps some of their things that the other physical ailments that they have.
And I really like your the name you used, drug foods. I mean, this is a topic that we will, of course, discuss in length, like what is food addiction, and it's not an official term, but that's why it's an interesting discussion that we should have. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the reason I like to use that word, it's just been the last couple of months that I've used it more and more, is because like we have to eat food, right? Not all food is bad,
Or
but
addictive.
or addictive. Um, but we got to make that differentiate of like what food is and what a drug food is. And it kind of starts with the sugar for sure, and then the ultra processed foods and the ingredients that goes into those.
Mhm. The
I think
food.
another word that people use is like frankenfoods and stuff like that, but
Mhm.
with coming from an addiction background, I just think using the word drug food is more um
Yeah. I think it's appropriate also because frankenfoods can be foods that are having very questionable ingredients and processes by which they're made. For example, margarine, like, okay, plant-based butter. That is definitely a frankenfood to me, but I wouldn't say that's addictive. So, like, I don't know anybody who's just addicted to butter or plant-based butter. So yeah, it's drug foods. That's
Yes.
one. So hi, I'm Sophia. I am a sugar addict in recovery, and also I'm a keto coach. Actually, my background is that I'm a scientist. Physics and chemistry is what I studied, and I worked in research, and I had a career in industry, in high-tech industry. And along this journey, I started developing health problems. Actually, looking back, a lot of them were connected to what I was eating, even though I was not eating anything special out of the ordinary, like a normal diet, what would be considered normal here. Here in Switzerland, I'm in Switzerland. So that is what brought me into looking into the metabolic effects of the diet. That's what's brought me down the rabbit hole of, looking into ketogenic diets. And after a lot of success health-wise with the ketogenic diet, I found that I struggle a lot to keep at it really consistently over the years. So there were phases where I was good, let's say, and then phases where I was just out of it. And it took me a long time to be able to again be in control of what I eat. Yeah, so and then during Corona, during the lockdowns and all of that, it was when I really realized that I am in a situation where I cannot get myself out of it anymore. And so I reached out to Sly, and that's Sly helped me to work on that. And actually, it's kind of funny. I never, even though I was aware enough that I want help, to reach out and to work with somebody, to work with a coach myself, I was still not really aware of what sugar addiction is, and that I am a sugar addict. So that was part of my work with Sly to understand that part of the equation. And now I'm a sugar addict in recovery. I'm happy to say that. Although I'm always working on it. It's never done, this journey. And where I'm coming from is that this is a message that is a lot out there, is that keto has a lot of benefits for health. But a lot of the messaging is also, well, just do it. It's so easy, just do it. Well, that's not my experience. My experience is that it might be easy initially, but over the years, it might also be very, very hard to do, even with all the knowledge. And I am a scientist, like I have really I did dig very, very deep into that, all the papers, all the research. So I know why I want to do it. I really know that. And I have the health benefits also, or the health problems, if I don't. And still it was hard. And yeah, so this is how we came together, Sly and I. And then when Sly mentioned that she had the idea of a 12-step keto program, combining the classic 12-step program with ketogenic nutrition, I was sold on it. I was like, Sly, okay, we will do it. And that's actually quite a long time ago, isn't it, Sly?
It's been, yeah, but here's the thing is like it was so cool how we came together and did this because I had this dream and um I have these dreams and it's hard for me to execute it, and we work so well together, and for it to even if it was so long ago, we've done so good getting it there, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, I can also say we really did it step by step. It was little steps every week
Yeah.
over, I would say, more than a year that we are already
Yeah,
working.
I think it's been about a year
Mhm,
and a half
mhm.
that it's taken us, but I think um that it's been worth the journey, and making sure that we done it right, and making sure that we looked at it from like the classic, like you said, the classic 12 steps, but also putting in that psychological and science part of it that you bring, and the logical part of it, and having so that people can relate a lot easier with it, because the 12 steps have been my way, right, and it's done a lot for me, but sometimes even with that, the classical version of can be a little intimidating sometimes, and I think we've made that less intimidating for the average person to come in and look at this way. um, I think the 12 steps are a great thing, and I think that they should have some sort of version of them as a instruction in school
Yeah,
for people on how to deal with
it's
emotions and deal
knowledge.
with life. Yeah. And there's all kinds of versions of them out there, but um, and I think there's all kinds of food programs and different things on show you how to heal. But I do believe that keto has healed and still continues to heal my brain and my other issues that I had, but um, also combining the other information with it. Because, even if you take away the drugs, you still have the addict behavior and stuff that needs to be addressed with it. And I've seen that it's helped me get a rein on the other outlets that I could have, instead of just hopping from one to another, trying to control those emotions.
Yes. So for me, the really interesting, from my perspective, the really interesting thing is that you are provided with tools to actually try out for yourself and see what will help you to replace behaviors that you don't want to do anymore. So like using food as a means to feel better. So this whole topic of emotional eating, but it can be also not kind of like I'm sad, I'm eating, but also I feel restless, I'm eating, or I'm tired, I'm eating, I'm frustrated, I'm eating. So, and just to say, well, then just go for a walk, or that is not even enough. So I think it's like this tool set and this process that is very helpful. Also to not give up, because I think by character, I'm a lot this all or nothing person. So if I'm interested in a topic, I will turn my whole career around just to keto. Yeah. So I did do that. So I always say, if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. This is me.
That's spoken like a true addict right there.
Thank you. Yeah. So I needed a process also to keep going. And even though there were a lot of failures, it's like a lighthouse or an anchor, like something to keep you oriented, to not be like, oh, I'm, for example, keto. Well, I'm off keto now. Now I will eat everything that exists under the sun because what? Because I ate maybe half an apple or something like that, something actually ridiculous like that. But like to have a perspective, this is where I want to be, and also to have a process that is going on, to feel like it's worth it. I will not just drop out of it, but I will just continue looking into this direction. I'm not even saying walking into this direction, because sometimes it might feel one step forward and two steps back. So, but just looking into the direction that is valuable, that you want to get. And so that was very interesting to me to combine these two worlds of the 12-step program that gives you this process with keto and the knowledge around why it's valuable to give you the outlook. But then I realized from you, and it's better if you explain this part of it. Well, I'm lucky enough that I never struggled with addictions with other substances. So for me, it was really purely, if I think that this is healthy for me, why can I not just implement it? So it was really the sugar addiction, the carb addiction. But I learned a lot from you about how addicts, like with other addictions, might really struggle because they change from their drug of choice to sugar. So why didn't you explain a little bit about that?
So, it's one disease of the brain, right? But there's many outlets of it. And I've seen a lot of it. Usually, I mean, granted, we all probably could use a little weight gain when we come into recovery for the most of us, because we're so unhealthy. But it goes from like this use to over here to the drug foods, the ultra processed foods, the sugar. And stuffing those emotions. I do believe that sugar is a drug. I think there's enough evidence out there of that it is. There's enough evidence of the way that it signals in the brain. Watch a child throw a fit over something that they want. They're not throwing a fit over broccoli. I think that when the first time the real connection made was so getting clean off of drugs and stuff doesn't stop cravings in the beginning, and it doesn't stop what they call using dreams. So there should be no shame and guilt in those, but I've had using dreams. So when I came out with stopping the sugar initially, I had using dreams.
Like of using other drugs
No,
or
I
just
had
sugar?
using dreams of well, other drugs too, but I also had like using dreams of eating the drug foods. And that connection right there was very important because I don't have dreams about eating broccoli or steak, when you're
No,
coming off of.
okay, so you first quit the other drugs, right? Like, and then
Yes,
later you realize that sugar is still a problem and that you need to deal with that problem. And so now, the way you explain it, I understand you that the process of quitting, uh, let's say alcohol, was very similar to the process of quitting sugar to you, which reinforces
absolutely.
this idea of like, yeah, it's really a drug. My brain, my body reacts to it the same way like it did to other drugs, to quitting other drugs.
Yeah, and withdrawing can have the same effects, restless nights, sleeplessness, irritability, um, even what they call the keto flu nowadays, which I don't think they should call it a keto flu. I think it's, a withdrawal from ultra processed foods and stuff. That that's real. And it can be just as painful for some people. Um, that thing. I mean, like we have tools that we can help people through and not being such a bad process or even just slowly stepping down with it. But like I've seen it and it is real. Um, there's no denying the mental and physical addiction that you can have with these drug foods.
Mhm. And the rationalization that is
Oh
going
yeah. Well, because we're giving it to them, we're sad, we're happy, we're celebrating something bad happened, and we've done this our whole lives, from the time we were little, they give the baby the smash cake here in the States, and that's when they're 1 years old,
on. Mhm.
and it's cute to give them like, oh, let's give them this new treat and stuff. And here's the thing is like, if that child or somebody already has the gene or the setup for to be an addict, you're really initiating those receptors, and I fully believe that these days, that it's a thing. I know food was my first drug of choice when I was little, or I can remember trying to stuff feelings, or I would just eat bread. I would eat a whole loaf of bread. Or when I stayed with my cousin, I can remember like wanting to sneak down and eat all the treats that my aunt used to keep in the refrigerator and stuff that maybe I didn't keep at my own home.
Mhm. And yeah, when did you realize that you had a sugar addiction specifically? Because with you, I mean, it's clear you had addictions where it was clear, right? I mean, you knew
Right.
going in, that's
Well,
problematic, that's addictive, that's a drug. But like, when did you realize that you had a sugar addiction or a food addiction?
I probably knew once I got clean, the way that I was eating was not right. And I had gained a lot of weight, but I didn't relate it to the addiction. That it was actually a scary moment for me when it came to realization what was really going on. I had left work and I was uh, going home, and I'd stopped at a local fast food restaurant, and I was looking up at the menu, and I was like, What am I going to get to make myself feel better?"
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and it had been a stressful day at work. I didn't say, "What am I going to get to eat? What am I going to get for dinner?" None of those things. It's like, what am I going to pick that's going to make me feel better?
Yeah.
And then the next fleeting thought was like, what if this doesn't work? Am I going to go out and use? Am I going to pick up again? What's
Mhm.
going to happen? And that was enough to get me started on this journey of finding some summits and some education, and then continuing on to help people. But that was probably the pivotal moment to put me on this journey, because I had tried all the other things, like Whole 30, which you do it, like you said, you do in short terms, but not long enough. Several other keto plans,
You mean like
and
paleo and, things like that, or
yeah, the Whole 30 is pretty much paleo. I mean, I even at one time I wanted to do carnivore, but there was a influencer that kind of scared me away from that at the beginning, because they're like, eat nose to tail. If you don't eat nose to
I
tail,
don't
you're not
want
doing it
to.
right.
I
And
know
I'm like,
what you're talking about.
I am not doing nose to tail, so that's not for me for over there, right? But along the way, the keto thing kept coming up, and I'm gonna say, when I knew to stick with the keto journey was Christopher Palmer. He had related the fact that so I have bipolar disorder, and he had talked about in one of his podcasts that bipolar disorder and schizophrenia are very thing, and you can go up into the second level. And with the background of mental health issues that I have from both sides of my family, um, it was scary enough for me to do that. I was stable-ish with my medications that I was on and stuff, but to know, with the way that he described it, to know that I could do better, to know that could be better, and along that way, it quieted the mind for my mental health and for the addictions. I can see a big, huge difference with everything.
Mhm. That's so
I
interesting
mean,
because you got aware of the sugar being an addiction, so you got conscious about that. That's why you want to get away from the sugar, but now you say it was Christopher Palmer and his explanations on how food affects our brain and our mental health that actually really put you on this path of
yeah,
wanting to be keto, right?
yes.
Hmm.
I mean, I was scared straight.
But that's nice that sometimes works. Uh,
Yeah,
for me, the 12-step keto is such an interesting concept because it works. It's like a coin. It has two sides, and both of them are great. So the one side is that a 12-step process of working on yourself can help you get really a grip on all the other reasons why you're using food as like from my perspective now, food as a drug. And the 12-step process can help you become keto for your other health goals. But then the other side of the coin is that keto is a way to eat that can help you heal your brain to a larger extent, which is something that gives you a better chance to combat your other problems with addictions. So that's what I find very special about it, because, and that's why we called it 12-step keto, is that's the reason why. It's like it's 12 steps leading to keto if that's your goal for health reasons. However, implementing it gradually and really getting into a ketogenic way of eating can help you heal enough so that you have a better chance to actually handle your mental health issues, of which addiction certainly is one.
yep. And address the behavioral issues that come along with it and being more open to that healing process. I think it helps you um, deal with the emotions and stuff a lot better, calmer, because your brain is calmer, right? Your brain is healing. It's not such in a panic or in a state of chaos all the time from eating the drug foods.
I have often this discussion with people that say, well, how, well, if you have, let's say you're depressed or something, you have to work like purely, it must be coming from your life and what happened and so on. And that can be absolutely true, that there are very explicit reasons why somebody might be sad for over a long time and so on. However, when I say even then it's worth it to look at your, even then it's worth it to look at your nutrition. Okay, certainly for people that really don't know what the reason could be that they're feeling this way, is definitely have to look at your nutrition. But even if you have reasons to be sad, look at your nutrition. And the way I like to explain that is you have your life, however that may look. Sometimes you wake up in the morning and you have a really good day. It's like you look out and you're like positive and you're like, yeah, I will, handle my life. I will. It feels like you don't have so much weight on you. But then in another day, seemingly randomly, maybe, you wake up and you feel this pressure and you feel this weight and you feel negative about everything. So you have good days and bad days, but the circumstances are the same. And I'm saying, what if you could fix your diet and your brain health in a way that you have way more good days? Just that, like how significant would that be? Like, yeah, it will not fix your problems, but it will make you more able to handle your problems.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. It's like you get a new sense of how to deal with things, even I think going through I was like 5 years into my recovery and about a year or so into um, working and using a ketogenic diet before I went to do EMDR therapy. And I really think that it helped me through that reprocessing stage, and even just in daily life of like, I had heard somebody else say that, it sometimes what's bugging us or what the issue is, our brains aren't capable right now of processing those things. And they're like, well, do you have to address them after your brain has healed? Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. Sometimes it just becomes something that happens to us instead of like this traumatic thing that had happened to us again, because our brain is healing. And it's kind of nice to see that and to experience it for myself, um, to be able to move forward with things in a healthy manner and not spiral out of control with the way that things can go. And like I said, it doesn't mean that I don't have bad days or I don't need more help or this journey I'm done, because I'm not. I'm still an addict. I still have mental health issues, but I'm able to live a better quality of life and deal with those things on a different level than I was before, a different healing level, and just not spiral out of control. And like I felt like I used to a lot with it, or, use the drug foods to make myself feel better and just continue wrecking your brain with it.
Mhm.
And um, and causing harm. Basically, that's what we're doing. And we don't know that we're doing that. I don't, unless you don't know unless you know.
I mean,
I am glad I've been able to take some of my addict behaviors and have that obsessiveness on something more positive than negative and using it for.
yeah. No, I wanted to say you don't know unless you manage to be out of that feeling for a while, and then you eat again, let's say, these things that you used to eat every day, but then you will realize, you will feel the difference. But as long as this is going on, we just feel normal. That's all normal. I used to think pains are normal when I wake up in the morning because, I'm in my 30s. Now I'm in my 40s. But back then was like 10 years ago, like before, or 12 years ago. So before I started with my journey, I thought it's normal that when I stand up in the morning, the bottoms of my feet hurt for 5 minutes when I'm walking, and my joints and I don't know what. And yeah, no, it's not normal. But how would you know?
You wouldn't know. You're not, they tell you it's normal and you hear it, they normalize it so much and it's just not normal
And with
at
age,
all.
basically, it's like all is normal because you're getting older.
Yeah.
Everything hurts. Your brain, yeah, you have brain fog. You cannot concentrate as well anymore. All right, Sly, let's wrap it up. I think well, I'm very happy we had our first
Yay.
discussion, and we would be happy to see you, our viewers, again next time. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.